CSS survey is out and it's got results you're going to want to hear about. CodePen has a huge new release. And is your React app ready for some Octane? Let's get right into it. It's another episode of Front End Fire, and I'm your host this week, Jack Harrington, and with me are my esteemed colleagues, Paige Niederinghouse.
Hey, everybody.
And TJ Van Tol.
Hey, everybody.
And here we are talking about all things front end related and also AI. And,
I actually
CSS,
have
state of all
quick AI tip for everybody off the top here. So
please.
If you are a Claude Code user, they added a new doctor skill. So if you just type /doctor, it'll kind of audit your skills, your Claude.md or your agents.md, and make suggestions for stuff that it feels could help optimize it, because that stuff affects your context window quite a bit. So
nice.
So I ran it. They published a blog post on it too, because they talk about how they've trimmed their own sort of equivalents of these files on their thinking models, and so they've distilled that into this /doctor. So it's a fun thing to run just to see what it shows.
Cool. Yeah. I think that's it seems like it should be something that we do, I don't know, every month or so, just because of how quickly stuff is moving and how quickly the models improve or the context windows shift or the skills change. So yeah, it seems like it should just be like almost a reminder of just check in and see if this is still relevant.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what it did. When we ran it, it was just, some of it was, oh, wow, we hadn't thought about touching this in several months, and several months in AI is an eternity.
Right? Yeah.
Years.
I think I was using Convex at one point, and so I had their skills installed. And the next thing I know, I'm like firing up any agent and noting that like my context window is half gone and I haven't even done anything yet. And I'm like, whoa, okay, what's the deal with this? And so I clicked in, at least in Cursor, they give you like this graphical display. In CC, you can get like a stats thing, and then it tells you like the distribution of where your context window is going. It was like, oh, okay. And I went over and looked at the rules, and I was like, all right, at the skills, and I was like, oh no, okay, all this has got to go. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Something important to keep an eye on for sure.
It's like VS Code marketplace extensions that used to drop your VS Code performance because they were too heavy.
Oh God, it's so bad. All right. Well, yeah, sounds like it's going to be a good week for some news. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Who's going to talk to us about the state of CSS?
Well, I can kick us off. There was a lot of interesting stuff that came out of it this year. But I know that we've talked about State of CSS in the past. When it was open, we want people to go through it and take it because it's interesting. Like we've said it before, keeping up with CSS lately is almost as bad as keeping up with AI. There are so many good things that are coming to the browsers. Interop is a thing. Baseline is new. Like there's all kinds of good stuff that we've been dying for years to have in CSS, and now it's finally just all hitting kind of like in a waterfall. So some of the interesting results that came back this year is that anchor positioning was the favorite new CSS feature.
Oh, yeah.
Have either of you used it? Like tried it out? I know we've talked about it.
Yeah, I've used it. It's in use on the Front End Fire website. What I thought was interesting too is I think later on, almost the next question is they asked what feature that you were avoiding because of browser support issues, and it was also anchor positioning.
Anchor positioning.
Which is
that's hilarious.
Which has kind of been my experience with it, because I used it 6 months ago for something basic, and I wanted to do more with it, but I kept running into stupid issues, and basically I got frustrated enough that I just didn't. And I think I need to revisit it, because I mean, I can see why it's the top of this list, because everybody hates adding JavaScript libraries to do tooltips. We've been doing it for 20 years. It sucks. So the promise of this is huge. And I feel like it's almost there. Like I said, my knowledge is still 6 months ago, so I don't know where the browser support situation is now. And I just need to take another look.
Yeah, it's still not great, unfortunately. So people complaining about that, it's still a feature. But yeah, so that was the favorite and also thing that people are avoiding because of support issues. Interesting, they asked how many people are generating CSS with AI. And as we've kind of talked about in our own experiences, the vast majority of AI of respondents are generating about a third or less of their CSS with AI. And we've, for obvious reasons, because the AI just is not good still at being able to understand how the cascade is going to happen in a browser. And there's so many different browser sizes and all that good stuff.
This still seems very low, though. I mean, I still handwrite some CSS, but at this point, I would say most of my role is cleaning up after the AI from its CSS. So, I mean, it gets into fuzzy territory there. At the end, am I generating it, or is the AI when I have to go back and forth with it a lot? I don't know. I think for this survey, when I filled it out, I said about I think I said like 60 or 70%, because that's where it kind of feels like where I'm at, because I still let the AI take the first step and then I come in afterwards and kind of tweak it a little bit. But I wonder if some of this is just the fact that it's a CSS survey.
That's
this number
exactly what I was going to say. I think it's self-selecting the target audience here, because I think a lot of developers at this point, like to the extent that they know about CSS, it's like, well, it's not a survey about Tailwind, and
right.
That's how I do.
If it's not a Tailwind class, I'm not doing it.
I ain't doing it. So, it wasn't that.
Your average developer, CSS just takes a beating. Everybody hates CSS. There's got all the memes of you can't vertically, horizontally center it. Not amongst us. I feel the people listening to this are the same people who are filling out this survey are probably pretty pro CSS. But I'm talking your average .NET or Java developer. Those types of people have never wanted to touch CSS. And I feel like those people are more likely to just turn over complete control to the AI and not care at all.
Sure.
Whereas the people that fill out the survey and listen to this podcast have a more nuanced view and might want to go in there and tweak things a little more than your average person would.
Yeah.
So, 26% of respondents actually said that they generate 0% of their CSS with AI. So I think that you nailed it, that this is the hardcore CSS lovers who bothered to take this survey.
Yep.
Some of the other well-liked features that have been added to CSS recently, the has, which I think we've all had a chance to use, and that one it's amazing. It's great. Aspect ratio and CSS nesting, those were some of the top ones.
Aspect ratio is so handy. Oh my God. Need that one for years.
Aspect ratio is also very LLM friendly. Like that's one that I don't totally, I don't think I could hand write that off the top of my head, but man, Claude can. Claude's done some cool things with images for me.
Yeah. I love that it doesn't pop. That I hate popping images. Really.
One of the things that was on the top of most people's reading lists as they went through, because you can make a list of stuff that you've not heard about and have it remind you at the end, was gap decorations, which I had not really heard about either. But basically, it's ways to style the gap separators in CSS. So another thing that we've all been dying for years, to have like dotted lines and different colors and just basically the space between things, and be able to style that without having to do pseudo elements and all kinds of weird stuff that we do to get around that.
Yeah, so. I was one of the people that added it to my reading list. I think we mentioned on this show when the survey was out, and I do want to say there several of you mentioned Front End Fire. We were on the podcast list, so thanks for everybody that wrote us in for that. We appreciate that. But I remember saying when I went through this that I just felt like an idiot more than I usually do when I do these surveys, just because I'm not keeping up with CSS, and that kind of brought home as I was going through this, and remembered I've still not been good about following up on some of this stuff, like styling gaps.
And speaking of Tailwind, which we just mentioned a little bit earlier, it is still 50% usage. So it is by far the biggest CSS framework that is being used, followed by 28% for no CSS frameworks. So people really are leaning into just actual CSS if they're not going to choose Tailwind.
that makes more sense in an AI world too, because you can now you don't need as much of these tools if you can kind of have AI generate your files and where to put them. And also there's CSS is just getting better. There's variables, there's nesting. A lot of what we historically used preprocessors for now have really, really good browser support.
Yeah.
And so there's less of a need.
But despite that fact, TJ, 56% of people are still using Sass.
What? Well, okay, maybe like
and
we're
mixins
just
are
working
the
on older
one
stuff or
thing
something?
that people want still that I guess we don't have in basic CSS.
I have to imagine some of that's historic. I don't know how many people are picking Sass on brand new things, but Sass was the king of this space for well over a decade. So if you're working on any sort of legacy project, I think there's a high probability you have Sass in there. And there's also not much of I mean, you could use AI to rip Sass out, but it's not going to cause much harm. Like it's one of those kind of pointless exercises. Sass isn't going to hurt anything. You might as well keep using it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still a great tool.
Yeah.
It is. But it's also funny just to see that kind of legacy stuff. It's kind of like if you ask somebody if they have Lodash or, one of those things in their project, if it is over a certain amount of years old, the chances are probably
absolutely they do. Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Well, so I did an experiment at work this week because we have a big app that uses style JSX because that was the next, right? It's just one of those things.
That was the default.
That was the latest thing to do.
Is that runtime or is that compile time?
It's runtime. Yeah. It's like a little bit of a mix of both. The way it works is weird. But it's the thing, it was the latest and greatest years ago when this thing was created. And so I've had this long running thing. This is one of my AI things is that I had Fable take a run at replacing it. And it works and it's still, but the problem is when you make a big migration like this, it involves retesting literally everything because if you're moving a CSS approach, it touches every component, every page. And so it's not the sort of thing you make lightly. You kind of, even in the AI world, you still kind of have to plan that into your roadmap and plan a thorough testing schedule. And automated tests might not catch it because it's all visual changes. So it's hard to move off these tools.
It is. On top of that, or speaking in addition to that, most devs are not using any of the CSS and JS libraries anymore. That wave seems to have completely crested, and it is over, and no one's going back to it at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Right. The thing that I thought, though, was most interesting, or was very interesting anyway, was the demographics at the end, which is where people say, how old they are, how much money they're making, what countries they're taking these things from, gender, all that kind of stuff. So what was interesting for me was that the demo averages are skewing older. So, average age of respondents now is 38, which is, I think, a little bit older than it ever has been. Maybe it's just, again, the people who are taking this are the people who've been around, who are aware of these surveys, who care about this sort of thing. But yeah, the average respondent age was 38 almost.
Yeah, I wonder, do the kids not know about this, or do the kids not care? Like they're just using LLMs. They're not
probably
interested in a CSS survey. I don't know.
Yeah. So average age was 38. Average years of experience was almost 16.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And that was up 3% from last year. So last year's respondents. So people who had 4 years or less experience, that was down 5% since the last survey. And then 5 to 9 years of experience was also down 3%. So it just kind of, I guess, reinforces what we've been hearing is that there's a lot less junior and mid-level developer jobs for people who are earlier in their careers. And the seniors continue to just get older.
I mean, and I think the people in those roles aren't like learning box model from the ground up. It's just, I just don't think that's a learning path that exists in 2026.
Quirks mode. Yeah. I think though it's probably a combination of like the younger developers are either they're not in the jobs and therefore they don't even want to participate in in the whole scene, which I get. Like, if I couldn't get a job in tech, and I had spent a lot of money to try and get into tech, I'd be like, whatever, these guys, I don't want any part of that on my free time. And then the second, you're right. I think the second thing is, like, if you're using LLMs, do you even know that there's CSS under the hood? Really? You know?
I mean, I think but you might not know it in depth enough to know, like, are you really tracking the latest in has and anchor positioning? That's the part that I don't think you're following along with the latest.
Do you care about anything beyond Tailwind as your styling? Maybe not.
Nope. I care about what the LLM creates, and the LLM ain't telling me. So it's whatever it is underneath the hood.
And the thing that always, I guess, surprises me, but doesn't surprise me just because I've been in tech for now the last 10 plus years, is the disparity between average salaries and countries. It is so ridiculous how much more the US is paying in developer salaries versus the entire rest of the world. The average developer salary in the US across everybody who responded is 133,000 US. The average across all respondents, if you take out the US, is 84,000. That is a $50,000 US difference in people doing the same stuff, just in different countries.
Yeah, it's tricky because then you have to take into account how benefits and time off come into play.
Right.
So speaking from the US, I think for the most part, it is a good place to have a job, especially financially. But there are some trade-offs that come with that higher number.
There are. And of course, this survey can't get into any of those, but it is just, if you're just looking at dollars, like how much less other countries are paying for people who are doing the same things. It's just really surprising how much more we pay in the US for it.
And I think it might also skew to where people are really, like, maybe you've got a lot of folks in the Bay Area who are taking this survey, and that the numbers there are just outrageous. So, of course, it's going to push those averages higher.
True too. So it was an interesting survey. Definitely fun to go and look at the results. The one thing that I had never heard of, but apparently was kind of like a really thing of interest this year, was the sibling index function. Have either of you heard of sibling index even at all?
I think it is. Isn't it a pseudo class that lets you select a sibling by its index, right?
Right.
But I've heard of it, but I've never thought like,
I should really use that.
I had sibling index. This problem would be totally solved for me.
So I went and looked it up because I hadn't heard of I didn't really understand what it was either. And it returns an integer that represents the position of an element among its siblings. So in a DOM tree. So instead of having to do those nth child with whatever number in it or JavaScript loops to get to that element in a particular DOM tree, you can use this new sibling index function and it will tell you the exact number of where it is in line.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Again, not totally sure what all these folks are using that for, but I guess it's a nice thing to have.
All those things that for me goes back to like table rows and like alternating background colors on table rows. If that's the kind of thing that you want to do, which seems very old school anyway, but it's very cool.
It's kind of like if you know what sibling index, I don't know if you're outputting, like if you're in a list of things and you want to output the number for where it's in, that would give you access to the index within CSS. I don't know. I can kind of see some things, but it just doesn't seem like a common thing that comes up in just day-to-day development.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, but also interesting, just for scientific purposes.
Well, listen, the demo nails it. Like, if you want to build a Hanoi tree and you don't want to, do the width on those.
Yeah, I hate
boom,
that.
Done.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And how every day I have to make Hanoi trees. So,
I mean,
your
next coding interview. Exactly.
Right. Done. Absolutely done. like, what? Yeah, no, these examples are like, yeah. We don't know what to do with this thing. We're going to make up some examples around it. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, so we should talk about CodePen. Like, apparently there's some good new stuff in CodePen 2.0.
There is a new CodePen. So for people that are not familiar, which I think it's a very popular tool, but CodePen it's an online dev environment. Historically, it was kind of a way to get quick HTML, JavaScript, and CSS examples running online. Then you can give a link. You could share them with your coworkers or on Stack Overflow if you were debugging some issue and you needed some help with it. But today, from their blog here, quote, "Today we declare CodePen 2.0 officially launched. We do it naturally for you as we set out to rebuild our online editor to better support what today's developers want and expect. We did it in a way that makes this single editor forever extendable in its capabilities so we can evolve with new technology." So the list of new features, there's a handful here. So first is every pen is deployable. With a click, you get a wildcard codepen.app subdomain website for your pen. Every pen has a file system. This is the number one thing I noticed. So before, CodePen was really just here's where your HTML goes, here's where your JavaScript goes, here's where your CSS goes. They now have more of a editor-like file explorer on the left-hand side where you can see a list of all your files. Also new, every pen has a version system. They said they make it easier to collaborate with people and do so in real time. And then finally, they have this new concept called blocks. And blocks are, they say, representations of functionality that you can add to any pen. So these are things like Sass, Prettier, TypeScript. They just have this like click-in option for adding common technology that you want to add to your pen or to your demos. And, it's got a whole new design if you want to check it out. What they call the classic editor is still around. So if you go into an old CodePen, you'll see the same thing you've always seen. But if you create a new one, you'll see this new look. And I don't know what you two think, but when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I also don't know the last time I used CodePen.
It was exactly.
I was gonna say the same. How long has it been since you visited CodePen for anything?
I mean, it used to. Back in the day, I was a extremely heavy user of JS Fiddle and JS Bin and CodePen, and I knew the differences between the tools, and I had different preferences on when to use them. But it has to have been at least 5, if not more years since I've used really any of them. And I think the CodePen people have done a lot of great things for the web. Chris Coyer, we owe a lot to the CSS tricks of the CodePens and some of the stuff he's done. And so I kind of want to see this succeed. But at the same time, this just feels like a weird thing to release in 2026 with no real mention of AI anything, which I get that AI is not the solution to all problems, but it just seems like a weird release that I don't know who this is necessarily for.
I don't know. It's good that they're trying to, they're keeping up, and they want to keep it a service that people can use, I guess, or that LLMs can use. To be honest, like let's be real about like LLMs probably farmed the heck out of CodePen and Stack Overflow and all those.
That's kind of what I mean by the fact that there's no AI. I kind of would have expected a CodePen MCP server so that your LLMs can spin up quick things that you can share with your coworkers and put that behind. Because some of these features are behind their pro plan, and they do see this. They do want people to pay for CodePen. And so I kind of expected there to be some AI tie-ins, and there really just isn't. But they do mention that obviously this isn't the end of CodePen. They're still working on things, so there could be more around the corner. But short term, it is. I mean, it visually looks nice. I played with it for a little bit, built up a little sample, and I mean, it's nice and it works really good.
Nice. Yeah, that MCP idea is brilliant, actually. Should pitch them on.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a great idea for you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I love CodePen. It has been such a great resource in the past for both putting up my own stuff and for learning from other people and seeing just how good they are with CSS, which is like light years beyond me when you look sometimes at the styling of these things. But at the same time, yeah, how much do we really need them? Especially because Claude can generate artifacts, it can generate working HTML mockups. Like, my PM is doing functional designs in Claude Design now, and then he can share it with all of us with a URL, and we can fiddle with them and like make comments. I mean, it's like Figma, but in Claude. And yeah, I really wonder how CodePen is going to compete with stuff like that, especially if they don't have an AI story like everybody has to have now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the last time I looked at it was when a boss asked me to make this UI, and it had to be gloopy. Like, it had to make like kind of like a lava lamp. And
Nice.
it was one of those things where I went over to CodePen and just surfed around looking for examples of gloopy type stuff. And then I showed it to him, and I'm like, "Hey,
gloopy UI.
Is this gloopy?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that one." And then it was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then obviously I like hand translated at that time the gloopiness into our, which was subsequently removed because it's a dumb idea, but whatever.
See, this is what their MCP server could do. They could bring, you could just search right in the MCP. You could pull from existing.
It really needs a good like agentic search. Like, I would say that would be a thing that I think would be really valuable for it. Like a really good search function that could actually kind of understand more of like what these examples are, which ones are gloopy, you know.
I mean, I remember probably now 3 years ago plus, I had a new design from one of our designers that I had to implement, and I used CodePen first to build it with just plain HTML and CSS and JavaScript. And then I had to translate it into React because that was what the front end was using. But I just needed to prove out that I could build it first, what she had designed, it would work, and then translate it. And it probably took now, I don't know, a few weeks to get from point A to point B of actually implementing it, something that now we could do in our application from the get-go in probably an afternoon.
Yeah, and a few sentences and
yeah, and then tweaking it because Claude didn't do it the first time. Right?
Yeah.
Though I gotta say, oh my god, I've been using Claude Design a little bit more, and I'm really enjoying that. That is really cool. I don't know if you guys have used it, but it's a good interface, and it's been giving me some really good results.
So that's the one that is in Claude Desktop, but it has its own tab?
Of course,
or is it the one that opens
like,
in the browser?
Well, it's not like a tab.
It's not a tab.
It's kind of like,
it's the tab is between like home and code, and then there's like below that, like there's design, but apparently not though. Why? Oh, but it's only on the home screen.
Yeah, there used to be 3 tabs. Now there's 2 tabs, but then when you're within the home one, there's also, you can tab between chat and co-work. Yeah, it's like...
Sorry to be pedantic, Paige. I know you're like, it's, another tab, but it's like another reason to rant about how bad...
I'm just trying to figure out where I go to get to it. That's my question.
Yes. It's at the bottom of the nav, but only when you're on the home tab.
Okay.
As a documentation writer here, and we've been working on MCP stuff, right? I had to write in words with, Claude, of course, helped me with this, but I had to write in words how to navigate the Claude Desktop UI, and good God, it's try to put that succinctly or make it make any sense. And it's going to change. Like,
it's going to change. Like 5
they
days.
update that stupid thing every day. It's
right. Yep. Yeah. Oh no. I there's not a day that goes by when I don't get like a relaunch with a new setup and with the new thing, and then it's a double thing. Like, you need to like download it, and then like it launches, and then it's like, do you want me to apply what I just downloaded? I'm like, that was kind of what we were doing.
Why would you relaunch?
Why would you relaunch it and not be updated? Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah. No, so bad. And some of the things, anyway, like as an example, Claude Code in the /code, which I don't use really. I don't use the desktop version of Code, but I've been because oh no, it was co-work. They did this thing. That's another freaking tab, but like, it doesn't render the chat in the same way, and it does this like weird flickery thing, and it's like, what is going on? Like, wow, okay, you guys need QA. This is crazy.
So we're going to continue tangenting on co-work, because I don't know if you guys have ever set up any co-working scheduled tasks and then had to update them in the future. But instead of because I have had to do this recently, like there's some new information that we need to include, or there's a new URL that you need to reference before you pull all this stuff together. Claude is so dumb about updating these tasks. Claude's like, okay, now we've got 1A and 1B, instead of just renaming it from 1 and 2, and then everything from that goes to 3 and 4. Claude will do these stupid additions and think that, and I mean, eventually at the end, the output is correct, but I'm just like, Claude, why did you keep modifying this the way that you have? Yeah, why did you do it this way?
I've done literally this, and it's always additive. It doesn't want to touch what you originally set up. So it'll keep add, but then it'll put in the giant siren emoji because it has to trump the previous instructions. So it'll just add new instructions. Say actually 1A is stupid. There's new things you should be doing here instead of altering 1A.
Oh
my god, that's great.
Sorry.
We need to have a regular segment on the show that's just Claude rants.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, it is the new IDE, right? At the end of the day, so yeah, makes a certain amount of sense that we would rant about it.
Yep. Anyways, Claude Design. I think that's where we were
Claude
at.
Design.
Yes.
But I mean, the output of Claude Design after you find it is actually, I found it really good. Like it asked me the right questions, and now I've done it twice now, and I found that the results were quite good. So it's become part of my new workflow where I go and build an app, and I'm like, well, this UI is janky or lame or whatever, and it's like, okay, just screenshot it, take it over to Claude Design, and say like, what are some variations make this cool, and it works great.
I need to play with this. I haven't had much designy new things to do, but I need to try it out, if only for science, just because.
Yeah.
Well, it scratches that itch, right? That itch of design.
Mocks. And it's very cool because he can even put comments in, and then Claude will make the changes like in real time, and you'll see it delete stuff or move things around, or like, it's like Figma, but Figma has an AI that's doing the changes for you, not a designer.
Yeah, and the output is code, right? So that's cool. I mean, it's HTML, and CSS, which nobody knows anymore.
Right.
All right. So moving on. What do you guys feel about like a new front end framework? You excited about it?
Sure.
Womp,
sure.
womp.
Why not?
Okay.
What are the benefits?
The benefits are that it is 100% compatible with React, and it's compiled. You don't have to do dependency arrays or things like that anymore. So it's actually a big step up in terms of that. But it's also wildly performant, like solid JS level performance, but you don't have to leave kind of the React mental model of things. You still use useState, you still use context, there's Suspense, there's all your favorite tools, all the TanStack libraries are over on it now, and it's called Octane, and it's from the guy that did Ripple and TSRX. And also before that, there was Inferno way back in the day. If you know about that one, kind of obscure
Don't
reference.
Remember Inferno.
Yeah, but I think Octane's got some real legs behind it. It's got OpenAI behind it, so the guy works over at OpenAI. They're going to start using it on OpenAI. So, I think this one has some real legs. And the cool thing is, as I say, it's really React compatible, which. And we did, the ports of the AI client and all that. It was, and Start, actually, TanStack Start, and it was quick because it's basically the same mental model, but, you get a new engine underneath the hood.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will give it an honest maybe. It'll make it.
Yeah. With a lot of these things now, I'm in wait and see mode. And if it gets more popular, in an LLM world, if it really is React compatible, I mean, it should be just sort of drop in, I would have to imagine. So
Yes.
it seems like it'd make it really easy to just sort of try it out and see what sort of results you get. So that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just having a lot more trouble these days caring about JavaScript frameworks because I'm not writing the code. Like, if it's not ergonomic, I don't really care that much because Claude's writing it for me.
Yeah.
As long as Claude can figure out how to make it work,
I made
that's
this
kind of the
framework.
main
It's
thing.
absolute garbage. It's the worst thing ever. But I don't have to write in it, so I don't care.
Claude understands it, right?
Here you go, LLM. You would be miserable about this. Nice.
So it actually makes some sense to me that this is coming from OpenAI, because as we just discussed, the Claudes, the OpenAIs of the world, they're generating lots of little dashboards, lots of little things. And in those scenarios, performance is kind of hyper important, and your scale is huge because you're generating millions and millions of these things. So having those little examples be very performant is very important. At the sort of apps I'm working on, React is not really my bottleneck. So if there's a drop-in replacement that makes it faster, sure. But there's also always going to be some risk that if I drop something in, it's not going to be maintained, or there's some subtle bugs that I have to keep up. And so I think for your average developer, it's still probably safe to just hold off on this to wait to see if it gets more stable before you sort of drop it in. But I think for somebody like OpenAI or Claude that's just sort of letting it fly right now, this sort of thing makes an absolute ton of sense.
Sure. And I mean, at least they chose the most popular framework that all of the AI agents have been coded on. If you're going to do it, you got to go with React because it is the dominant meta framework or library, whatever you want to call it.
React's contract, its API surface, it's of course flawed. It's not perfect, but it's not bad, and it's what we got, and it's what LLMs know. And I think that was a super smart decision to build on top of that.
Yeah. I kind of like maybe I've gotten used to it, like, Stockholm syndrome or whatever, but I like the React, API, with the exception of the dependency arrays, which are gone.
Right.
And with the exception of their kind of middling performance that, you don't, like a solid, obviously just destroyed React in terms of performance. But now, like, I can take those React skills with Octane, and I've got solid level performance without any of the stuff about destructuring or any of that. And the only changes in terms of the kind of day-to-day stuff is that instead of like the using .map inside of my JSX, there actually is like a for tag and an if tag and all that sort of stuff. But as Paige says, I ain't writing it, so I don't care. Like, it's fine by me.
Yep.
Yeah, doesn't irritate me as much as it used to.
Yeah, exactly. Developer ergonomics. Who cares? Oh, the world we live in 2026. Amazing. All right. So do you have any lightning news this week?
Yeah, we do.
We have a litany of small things.
Okay, I love that. Who's going?
All right, so I can start. I've just looking at our notes here, and we can just start going down the list. So the first is that the same people that put on the State of CSS survey that we just talked about, they also run the State of Devs survey. Then that one is now open. We found last year that this one was actually one of the most interesting surveys to talk about, because they ask about things like, what are your concerns with AI? How are you doing mentally? They ask about political beliefs. They ask about movies. They ask about hobbies. Yeah, a lot of non-tech stuff. So if that's appealing to you, which I find this one pretty interesting, there's a link in the show notes if you want to check that out and go through it. It's a survey we like. You'll contribute. We'll end up talking about the results of it on here because it's always usually pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a fun one to do.
And then the second lightning news item is From LinkedIn. So LinkedIn from their blog here, quote, as part of a series of updates to reduce the volume of AI slop on the platform, LinkedIn is introducing an actual button that lets you flag a post as something that, quote, seems like AI slop. Like that's actually what the label of the button is. So you can click like the dot menu or whatever on a post, and you can tell LinkedIn that, hey, this looks like AI slop, which I thought, one, it's hilarious that they actually named the button seems like AI slop. And two, I also think this is a really good idea because it's something where it's like I can see why machines might struggle to tell whether something AI, whether something is slop, but to humans, usually it jumps out to us pretty obviously.
What is LinkedIn going to do, though, if you have deemed a post AI slop? Is it going to hide it? Is it going to delete it? Is it going to penalize the person who posted it? What happens when you click that button?
A little bit of all of that would be great.
Presumably a little bit of all of them. They don't, in their blog, they don't go into great detail, but I would have to imagine the algorithm would take it into account. Kind of like if you flag something as spam, they probably don't take one report as definitive, but if a bunch of people are flagging it, then presumably it would start hiding it from people's feeds and such, but they didn't release details.
I feel like this is going to decimate LinkedIn's platform because I bet so much of that junk is AI written and everybody's just going to be hitting that button all the time.
The thing is, with LinkedIn specifically, I could totally see some absolutely human-written, legit stuff kind of looks like AI slop just because of the nature of, because things you post on LinkedIn are way more formulaic. And
LinkedIn is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the social networks are pretty bad, so.
They are.
Yes. I guess Blue Sky is good, but not a lot of traffic on Blue Skies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn just is so annoying nowadays because anybody who's posting is always positioning themselves in some sort of an I learned this from this weird random experience that I had or some completely unrelated thing that happened. It's just, and it's all just self-promotion and aren't I cool and aren't I doing great things? And it's just like, stop. All of you just need to stop.
But that's how you get a gig, Paige.
I know.
I guess.
So tired of it.
I don't know. Yeah. It's funny. I don't hang out on LinkedIn, but I post there.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But whenever I do get on there to post like our latest episode or something, I can't help but see some of this stuff.
You're like,
I don't do it either, and it's literally my job. Like Jack and I are both DevRel. We're supposed to be spending time on there, and I still just don't do it. I just apparently you can't pay me to do it. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know, dude, because I have no idea. Like anyway. All right. Well, I've got two TanStack stories. So the first one is TanStack is rebranded, and we've given ourselves a better icon in terms of like it actually being an icon. We're finally probably going to make it into one of these icon font packs. But no, it's a really cool rebrand. The site's rebranded. It's got this like kind of cool, palm tree looking thing. And we're really excited with that.
I like that you kept the motif of like the palm tree sort of thing, but then the new design is really nice. It's really clean. It looks really good.
Andy did a great job with that. And Tanner's got a good eye for that sort of thing. And also we are releasing a bunch of libraries, but the one that's most interesting to me is this new charting library that we've got. It's kind of built on top of D3. It's not trying to replace D3, but it's using D3's data functions in conjunction with our rendering, and obviously we cross-platform and all that. So it's really cool if you're into data visualizations. I think Tanner's done a really cool job. I didn't actually know that Tanner's background back in the day was data visualizations, and I got to talk with him about it sometimes because I'm a huge data visualization buff. I love that stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know that either. I knew that he did like big data analytics and stuff, but I didn't know visualizations was part of it. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
I also like that one of the calls to action when you look at this thing is to copy a prompt. I think that's
that's becoming very popular now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I actually just, so speaking of documentation, I was talking about earlier, I was writing docs for an MCP server, and we kind of had a realization where we were like, we should just tell people to ask their LLM how to do it, because instead of us writing docs for installing MCPs in every client, it's like, just ask your LLM. Like, I don't even know, why are we here? Like, this is
It works better. It honestly does. Like, I was trying to install a new or create a new skill for Claude to have it write more legible English because it gets so verbose and like super technical and you can't even understand what it's saying sometimes when it writes descriptions. And it was much easier to just take the prompt that one of my coworkers had put together and be like, Claude, make this a skill, make it run every time you do something and like respond to me. Because he had set it up that way. But instead of me trying to figure out how he had done it, I just told Claude what to do and Claude did it. And it was great.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Designed for the agentic world, man. You know.
Yep. All right, I've got one. I don't know if either of you have noticed, but on the GitHub for the last day or so, there's a little pancake emoji that's over on the left-hand side. And I wondered what that was about.
I have noticed this, and I have
Hold
no
on.
idea what it's for. They didn't put like a tooltip on it or anything. There's just randomly pancakes there with no context.
Yep, little pancake emoji. And so what it is an Easter egg for a new thing called GitHub stacked pull requests. And this is, it seems like, a way for GitHub to make these giant pull requests that we've all been talking about that AI is generating into more bite-sized consumable pieces. So basically you can have, if you're using an AI agent to plan out a larger feature, you could have it make a pull request that stacks on top of the pull request before it all the way down to your main branch. And each one is a layer of implementation is how they describe it. So you've got step 1, database changes, step 2, API layer, step 3, front end, step 4, testing or whatever. Yep. And they all link back to one another. They're all discrete, so you can review them by themselves, which I'm not sure how I feel about that because I typically like to smoke test. So I would probably be looking at most of the pull requests anyway, just to make sure it works all the way through. But if that's not necessarily the way that you do it, or you really just want to break it up into smaller chunks for human reviewers, this is an interesting approach. Yeah.
Trying to figure out the specifics. I'm reading through this blog post, and because this is something you could always do. I mean, you can create branches off of branches and create. Yeah, that's what I get the sense they're just putting a nicer UI on it, and that's why I kind of wish they'd have pictures in here so you could actually see what it looks like.
They're making it sound like it's easier though to manage than branches. There's like less rebasing. If you change one piece of the stack, the rest of the stack doesn't get broken because of it. You don't have to merge them all at once. You don't have to merge them in a particular order, though you should. It's just like they're trying to make it easier to keep moving, I guess, when your agents are moving so much faster than your human code reviewers, and you want to keep implementing, but you also don't want to have a 7,000 line PR change that somebody has to eventually look at.
From my perspective, I love it because then I can go and take a look at like the database changes first and look at just put my head in database mode, take a look at all that. And then, as opposed to having it all kind of interleaved, like, here's a schema file. And then there's this, JSX change, and it's like, well, what? I just want to go and like look at it level by level, and I think that's really valuable.
I set up these structures decently often because we tend to have a lot of long running sort of feature branches where I think this sort of things, and then if you make a meaningful change to that branch, well, you want it reviewed. So typically, you end up creating a PR. And the thing is, once you start to get beyond the basics, I can see why they want this because it gets very complicated very quickly. And if you're the one creating them, you can kind of have a mental model of this. But if you're on a team, like piecing the puzzle pieces together for this sort of thing has always been hard. So I just want to see what this looks like in the UI because I I might just do this, just set up a contrived situation right now to see. Because I don't think you have to turn anything on, right? It looks like it just does it.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I think it's available right now in public.
I didn't get the pancake.
Oh, you didn't get the pancake?
No, I don't have the pancake. Where's the pancake?
Well, I think it only came out just a couple days ago for people to start using, so maybe it's a tiered rollout, but
it's already gone, the pancake for me. So they must have just done it for a day to promote it. But it was such a weird promotion because, like I said, if you wouldn't have told me, Paige, I would have had no idea that this was actually a thing.
I just Googled it because it was intriguing. I was like, what is this pancake doing here?
I mean, guys, like, it's really cool stuff. Like, why did you, like, don't take away my Claude Code Tamagotchi. Like, I love these things. Why you do this to us? Like, you know, you, like, give us a little thing and then take it away. It's not right. Not right.
But yeah, I think it's out. If you just Google for it, you can probably find out how to enable it. It's subject to change, obviously, because it's very early days. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, an interesting potential solution for the AI code review that we're all drowning in.
Yeah, I mean, we just did this on TanStack AI. We had a big feature around persistence. And so instead of having it in one massive PR, which it was originally, we ended up breaking it into 3 stacked PRs. And that's been certainly helpful. Like, it's still a big PR, but it's, you know, we were able to kind of mentally like land that one and then have some confidence, like, because that's the thing is, like, when you do these things in phases, the one risk is that you'll go, and if you're not building the thing all at one shot, then, you know, the database will change, your needs will change if, you know, you land the database first and then the AI and the UI is like, oh, okay, hold on, we need these 4 new fields. Like, oh, shoot, okay.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So, but like, you have a full feature from end to end. You can pull the last pancake off the top and test it, you know, but like, at the same time, you get this nice little, like, okay, I can deal with this with the DB, or I can just deal with the UI. So I like it. It's cool. I think you've had this at like Google for a long time internally, because
perhaps.
Yeah, when you got those like high volume, high number of maintainers projects, it gets crazy because, you know, by the time that you've got your PR ready to go, there's been 15 other PRs that have landed, and now you're out of sync with main, and oh man, what a mess.
Now that Claude's creating them, it's the Wild West.
Good Lord,
you're very out of sync.
Yeah. All right, any more lightning round? I guess not.
Do we want to talk about Opus 5?
Oh, yes, right, Opus 5. Yeah. So after we finished up recording last week, like literally an hour later, Opus 5 came out, which I guess is like obviously the spiritual successor to Opus 4.8, and isn't the Fable 5 model, so it's a lot cheaper. And yeah, I mean, I gotta say, my using it so far has been great. Although I never really had a problem with Opus 4.8, and I think a lot of people have had, like, at least on X, you hear a lot of people moaning about like Opus 4.6 through 4.8. They didn't think it was all that great, but now 5 is like somehow awesome. And of course, that comes out like hours later after, you know, you've had like 2 hours to play with this, guys. Like, seriously, with that kind of decision in 2 hours, I don't know, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, Opus is kind of my default thing that I use, and I've been using 5 for the last couple days, and it seems good. I mean, nowadays it takes a lot for me to notice a meaningful difference, so I really haven't been able to tell when it switched from 4.8 to 5. But it's just like, as a good default model, it's been working good for me.
I haven't really tried it yet. I had set my default model to be the Fable 5 version, so I've been trying that out. But I'm interested because I was looking at the write-up about it from Anthropic, and it seems like it scored better on some of the things that seem like traditional coding tasks in the benchmarking. So I'm interested. I'm kind of torn if I should switch to Opus for a bit and see how it compares to Fable.
You'll probably save a lot of money.
Yes. I'm really surprised that you're on Fable like as a full-time thing. It's like, yo.
It's because my company's paying for it.
Okay.
That's why I don't care.
Yeah, okay, that makes certain sense. All right. You want to talk about what's making us happy this week?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Paige, what's making you happy this week?
I have a new Netflix limited series that I'm going to recommend, and it is called His and Hers on Netflix. I don't know if either of you have come across it in your browsing.
I've heard the name before, but I've never seen it.
So it is based on a book written by a writer named Alice Feeney, who is a pretty good mystery, like crime mystery writer. The thing that is cool about her novels, and I didn't even realize until we were about halfway through, I haven't read this particular one, so it was a surprise. The whole thing was a surprise to me. But her novels especially always have a twist at the end that you don't see coming. And this one did not disappoint. And it's got actors that you'll recognize, John Bernthal from The Punisher and Walking Dead, if you know him, and Tessa Thompson from Westworld and a bunch of other stuff. You'll recognize both of them. It's set in Dahlonega, Georgia. He has been. I think he's got like a Netflix contract or something because he's doing a lot of Netflix related content recently. But it's also set in Dahlonega, Georgia, which is kind of cool because that's about an hour north from where I live, and I recognize some of the landmarks and stuff. So that's also neat. It's like trying to figure out where was this actually being filmed in Atlanta, because there's a lot of landmarks that you'll recognize if you've lived here for a bit.
And you said it's a series, just like one season, or?
Yeah, one season based on the books. I think it's maybe 8 or 10 episodes tops, so you'll get through it in a weekend if you're enjoying it, and it's very fun. Like you don't see, there's a lot of suspects of who could have done it, and you don't see the twist coming at the end, or at least I didn't. So that was fun. It's a good watch.
Nice, yeah. All right, TJ, what you got?
I have a sprinkler, so it has been.
I love that. That.
It has been very, very dry here. We've gotten virtually no rain in months, and I'm not the type that cares too much about my yard, but we do have a decent sized yard. We're on 3/4 of an acre, which I don't know if our Europeans have any sense of. You can ask your LLM to convert that to whatever unit you're most familiar with, but
whatever hectares you want.
Yeah, but it's a decent sized yard, and it's been getting very brown. And so we were looking into options for, well, I don't want to put in a full sprinkler system because that's just way too much effort. And I also don't want to be I was moving the sprinkler every hour or so, that was getting old very fast. So we found this sprinkler that it's called a sprinkler tractor. And it's a sprinkler. You lay it out with a hose, and the hose becomes the path. And it travels. This thing doesn't have a battery. It doesn't have gas. It's water propelled. It travels along the hose path. So you set it up. The basic idea is you set your hose where you want this thing to go. And then you put in a little stopper so it knows where to stop. And then it just slowly travels this path so that it can cover a good amount of space. And I don't know. It's just something like, I've just had fun with it. The other thing is, this thing is pretty beefy. It's made of metal. It's like an $80 thing. So this isn't a cheap little thing, but you set it up in the yard, and it's just been fun to watch it go. This is my latest, work from home thing. I'm now watching the sprinkler.
You got to get a video.
Totally do that.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to get a picture and send it in. Yeah, the video won't do much. Awesome. It moves so slow. You're not seeing it moving because the video would have to be
time lapse.
Time lapse. Yeah, I could time lapse it. That's true.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Good to see the sun kind of, go down the distance. Yeah. You're awesome. Awesome.
That's great.
All right, so I have a show that we've been watching, The Vampire Lestat, which is the follow-on from Interview with a Vampire, and it does not disappoint. It is a little crazy, it's a little off the chain, but no, it's definitely a good watch, and we're really enjoying that one. And then, Paige, for you, my wife is also watching a show called, let me just make sure Patience. It's like a murder mystery type show where the central character is like an autistic woman. So, yeah.
I will add that to the list.
Yeah, exactly. This is how we maintain our list of things to watch.
Nice. Yeah, I watched Interview with the Vampire, the original one, and my husband's watched like the other witches ones and some of the other Anne Rice stuff.
Yeah, there's like one about like the agency around vampires and stuff. I don't know. It's getting very deep into like vampire lore, which I guess they have to because like the next one's Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, well, AMC this is their new Walking Dead universe, is they're trying to build one around the whole witches and vampires and covens and all that good stuff. So that's cool though. I enjoyed it, so I'll look forward to checking out the spinoff.
Yeah. Very into that kind of thing.
Yeah, and Patience is a British show because all the British Man and Murder Mysteries, they got a whole thing around that.
They do.
Yeah. So much good TV out nowadays. All right. Well, that's a fun episode. And great talking to you guys. And if you, of course, want to join us, we're over in our Front End Fire channel on our Discord server, and go check us out there. Go tell your friends, and of course, go on to these surveys, the dev survey, and say that you watch the show, and or listen to it, whichever way you want to play it. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hop in the Discord. I'll at least post a picture of the sprinkler. I'm not gonna.
Oh no! Do the time lapse.
I'm not putting myself down for a time lapse, but
come on, just like phone on
I'll see what I can do.
There you go.
All right, see you, everybody.
See ya.